Right. Accounts receivable. It's usually a sore point for sometimes in your business, right? Especially if you have a lot of dynamics happening where you don't have all cash payments, you might have holdbacks, part payments. So, it gets pretty exciting. So, we are talking about accounts receivable and how can we increase accounts receivable being paid in your business. And who doesn't want that? It's another level to manage it or have a team member manage it, or some persons are starting to outsource the management now. However, you want to ensure that you do have systems in place to get those collections in. So, in for the next few minutes, that is what we are talking about: increasing your accounts receivables payment, being increasing the collections in your business for when it comes to accounts receivable. And this is going to be applicable depending on the regardless of the type of business you have. I know a lot of persons you're operating in different spaces, HVAC, plumbers, caulking, renovators, it varies. However, the principles are going to be just as relevant. The first and accounts receivable, I'll quickly say accounts receivable is a very wide area. There are so many levels to it. And I found I was recording a course the other day with the whole management of accounts receivable and invoicing. And I realized that it was just a lot. And it's there's so many dimensions to it. And that is why I was so adamant to create that course as well. So as we go through, I'm going to highlight some areas. So the first thing that I want to highlight is definitely the importance of thinking about where it all starts, your invoice. So you want to ensure that the invoice you are sending out to your clients, to your customers, you want to ensure that invoice is correct, that there are no ambiguities, there's a reduced risk of disputes as well. So at times you might need those additional set of eyes, legal eyes on your invoicing to say, okay, it's fine, you shouldn't have any disputes, right? So make sure that your invoices are clear and your invoices are generated from your contract. So you want to make sure your contract is clear to both parties, it's in agreement. So when it's time for payment, there are no disputes or like, I didn't agree to this. And it does happen, right? So you want to be clear that from the beginning, your contracts are in a good position. It's clear between both parties. This is what we're agreeing to, the payment terms and all that. So when it comes to sending out your invoices, you want to make sure your invoices are correct. I've seen it so many times where the invoices are incorrect. So your client, your customer sends it back. That's not what we should be charged for. That's not what we was done. And you have that back and forth that leads to delay in payment. So ensure that you have a system in your business where your invoices are at that reduced risk of errors and misstatements, so you don't have to be redoing invoices and having that back and forth, just wasting time and money. So that is the first thing I do want to encourage you. Make sure the system in your business is working, is effective when it comes to preparing and sending invoices out. I'll quickly add something else. There's something like who the invoice is addressed to. A lot of companies, they have staff turnover, team turnover. That's normal. So if you're sending the invoice to John, you want to make sure that John is still working there. John is still responsible for the invoices and it hasn't turned to Sally, because that again is a delay. Sometimes the email boxes aren't automatically forwarded to the new person. So you have that backup and confusion again. So you want to make sure you are always sure who the invoice should be sent to and it is being sent to that person. The second thing I want to talk about is definitely to ensure that you have a follow up system. So, what I find a lot of times is that there's no follow up, and it gets a little bit more complicated when you have holdbacks. you have payment plans in place when it comes to those relationship with your clients. Because what is happening is that holdbacks, payment plans, various terms, they need more management. So, and a lot of times if you don't give that nudge or say, you remember you owed me, or, it's not going to be paid. So have that system in place for follow up. And it might not be you personally as the owner, the entrepreneur, the CEO. You can have a team who does that. And now I know persons are even outsourcing their accounts receivable process. So meaning you're having an external party company who's handling that. So you want to be clear and sure that you are in fact having that situation where you are, having that management of the accounts receivable. So is it on Thursdays? You're going to follow up, review your reports. Who is it that owes me? How long? Are they owing me? Is it over the 90-day period, over 120 days? You want to get into all that, because what happens is that a lot of times you are owed and you don't realize how long you're owed, right? You don't realize that, okay, if it's over 120 days, I've seen over 365 days, 2 years, right? And this can be it does impact your business. It impacts your cash flow for sure. So you do want to ensure that you have that system in place to manage the accounts receivable, manage the follow-up, the phone calls, the emails. You want to be clear that that is being done effectively in your business. Every week, you should be reviewing your accounts receivable report. This person didn't pay, they said they were going to pay. So this is another key way with the whole management of the accounts receivable. You want to be sure. And with management, you have to ensure that you are looking on your reports. And I'll quickly add to that. It's not only to look at your reports, you want to make sure the reports are correct, right? Garbage in, garbage out, that computer jargon. So if your accounts receivable reports are not correct, you're not looking on correct information. And it's embarrassing somewhat if you're calling up someone, you owed me, and they said, but I paid already. And you're like, I didn't even realize I was paid. Where did that payment go? You might have misallocated it or not allocated it correctly. So that again is another source of confusion. You want to make sure that based on the system in your business, you know when you were paid and it is recorded correctly that you were paid and timely as well. So again, that is another way to manage increasing, getting those monies coming in from accounts receivable amount in your business. You do want to ensure that that is happening. I'll quickly add as I close out that there are times when, depending on what's happening in your business, you are strapped for cash, and it's happening even more frequently now. And you might have challenges getting paid from that customer, that client, because they're having challenges too, right? So another way to get those monies in quickly is to use what's called the factoring process. What does factoring mean? Factoring is where you are selling the accounts receivable balances to somebody else. They give you the monies up front, of course, lesser discount, lesser charge, and they now are legally responsible to collect those monies. So you're getting the payment, you're not getting the full payment. Let me add that in. So we're clear, you're not getting the full payment. However, if you're really strapped for cash, it's a way to explore, right? You're getting some monies in and you're able to do what's needed in your business quickly. So accounts receivable, it's a way that, to be honest, I see a lot of businesses, a lot of monies are outstanding in your accounts receivable, right? And it's important to have an effective system in place, a process in your business that does manage accounts receivable effectively to ensure that you are paid and paid timely. If you want to learn more about strategies to manage accounts receivable to ensure you are paid early, paid quickly. I do have, courses that support that. So, and also if you want to reach out to me directly to discuss, what might work best for your company at this time, you can do that. So you can send me an inbox or you can call me or text at 888 521-4206. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll be signing off now. So remember, the number one reason your business will fail is lack of paying attention to your business numbers, your cash flow, and not getting paid for your accounts receivable amounts. Bye, guys.